This is an ABC News special report.
Good afternoon, I'm Mary Bruce. We're coming back on the air with a remarkable turn of events on Capitol Hill. After seeming to lose in the first round of voting for House Speaker, Mike Johnson has now just been declared the winner and will retain the Speaker's gavel. Take a listen.
The tellers agree in their tallies that the total number of votes cast is 434, of which the Honorable Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana has received 218.
It comes after Johnson at first lost 3 votes from within his own party. He could only afford to lose 1. But after voting ended and before the final tally, 2 conservatives with a change of heart, switching their vote to back Johnson, allowing him to now continue on as Speaker. Johnson, with a personal appeal, spotted there huddling with the key holdouts. Johnson had been adamant all along there would be no backroom deals to gain the support of far-right members, instead leaning on the importance of this moment and the need for Republicans to make the most of unified government. So let's get right to ABC's Jay O'Brien there on Capitol Hill. And Jay, certainly perhaps a bit messier process than the Speaker had been hoping for, a bit more complicated, but he had been confident all along that he was going to maintain the gavel.
Exactly right, Mary. A dramatic scene just there on the House floor. So Republicans choosing to leave this vote open, not gaveling it out, not ending the vote. Instead, we saw on camera Mike Johnson and other Republicans meeting with 2 of those 3 holdout votes, the 2 that Johnson would have needed to flip to get reelected. At one point, walking off the floor with both of them. That includes Keith Self and Ralph Norman. Those 2 holdout votes then meeting with Johnson behind closed doors. All of this playing out over roughly a 90-minute period since the vote ended. Ultimately, they emerge from behind those 2 closed doors, and then Ralph Norman and Keith Self, they walk up to the Speaker's rostrum and they change their vote just before the vote is gavelled out, which is allowed under the House rules. It puts Johnson over the threshold that he needed. And then, of course, applause breaks out in the House chamber. There's backslapping, there's hugs, there's handshaking. Mike Johnson even shaking the hand of, at least as we saw on the cameras there, Keith Self, after they appeared to talk behind closed doors. Now, Mary, as you said, Mike Johnson was adamant. He would make no concessions. He would not put himself in the place that Kevin McCarthy was in 2 years ago, where he made serious concessions that ultimately cost him his speakership. So very much unclear at this hour exactly what those 3 talked about behind closed doors, but clearly enough to switch those votes, Mary.
Just a remarkable about-face and unfolding of events here that allows Mike Johnson to maintain the gavel, but also for those ultra-conservative members to make clear their displeasure as well. Let's go to ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, because, John, looming large over all of this, the president-elect.
Look, Mike Johnson owes his speakership, his second speakership, to Donald Trump. It's just that simple. You had at least 17, 18 members who were poised to vote against him, who were uncommitted to voting for him. They faced pressure from Donald Trump, direct involvement from Donald Trump, who sent a very clear message. The message is, we need a Speaker of the House. We need a Speaker of the House now, because until we have a Speaker of the House, my election victory cannot be certified. That's scheduled for Monday, and we can't get to work on the agenda for my first 100 days. That was Trump's message. He made calls himself. He got the recalcitrant members to come to heel. But Mary, what this shows is just how narrow this margin is in the House, how difficult this process was. And he had a major argument to make, which is, you got to get a speaker so I can become president. I mean, what could be a more powerful argument for Donald Trump to members of his own party? He's going to have to use arguments going forward to get his agenda through the Congress. It may not be as relatively easy, even though this didn't look all that easy, to get as it was to get Mike Johnson reelected speaker.
Those deep divisions certainly still remain within the party. Let's go to Rachel Bade, ABC contributing correspondent and Politico Capitol Bureau chief and senior Washington columnist. And Rachel, as John was mentioning, urgency certainly was paramount here, and part of the message and the pressure campaign being put on these ultra-conservative members on the far right, because they do have an ambitious agenda. So what comes next here?
You're absolutely right, Mary. I mean, when I talked last night to a bunch of folks close with Donald Trump, their message to me was that the incoming president isn't backing him just because he likes Mike Johnson or regardless of what he feels about Mike Johnson. This is about moving forward the president-elect's agenda. They wanted to move quickly. They want to get a border bill passed within the first 30 days after Donald Trump gets sworn in. A big, long, drawn-out speakership battle. It would delay the certification of the Electoral College. It could delay Donald Trump being sworn in. That is not something Republicans want right now. They feel like they've been given a mandate by voters to enact a lot of changes, whether it's on the border, whether it's on crime, whether it's on taxes, and they're eager to move quickly. And so you're going to see them do that right away now that Speaker Johnson has the gavel again. I mean, as soon as tomorrow, Mary, they're going to be gathering to talk about these sort of next steps, things they can sort of prep for in the 2 or so weeks before Donald Trump gets sworn in. So they're going to be moving quickly to get his legislation passed.
Lots of work to come. Rachel Bade, John Carl, Jay O'Brien, our thanks to you. Once again, Speaker Mike Johnson, in a nail-biter of a vote, has gained enough support, the 218 votes he will need to continue on in his role as Speaker. Our coverage continues on ABC News Live and abcnews.com. I'll be back with the entire team for World News Tonight. I'm Mary Bruce in New York. Have a good day.
This has been a special report from ABC News.